Hey everybody, welcome back. It is your Elder Thad here. I am gonna first talk about my beard. It's gone. I had a little mishap, got a little distracted when I was trying to trim it up, and had to let it go. So unfortunately, I am starting the process of growing it back out again. This will take some time, unfortunately, but hopefully it will be as glorious as in my photo once I get it to come back. But I'll just keep updating as I go. And I mean, it's starting to grow back a little bit, but it's not completely, it's not a total loss because it's gonna be even now. But unfortunately, it did have to go. Okay, well now I'm gonna get into the real reason here. We are here because I want to talk about maps in Dungeons and Dragons, particularly my campaign, and just in general. The first thing I'm going to do is talk about the difference between battle maps, which is what I want to talk about today, and more of like a scenic map or something that is like a world map. So the first thing in different tabletops is the world map or like scenic maps. These would be like snapshots of a city or little maps that help you figure out locations of stuff but aren't super integral to have for your characters and players to know positioning for. Battle maps, on the other hand, are extremely important, especially in like a virtual setting. I mean, even a physical setting to a physical game, because physical maps really help with combat systems. Combat systems are usually based off of feet, and most maps will have a grid system, and one grid will be equal to 5 feet, in particular for Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know how other tabletop systems work, so they're going to be a similar system, but I don't know the actual numbers, the different scales that they use. But D&D 5e, it's 1 square is 5 feet, and that's what I'm used to, so that's what most of the maps are. You'll see I have a map pulled up right now. It's 50 by 50, so 50 squares by 50 squares. I don't know if this map's going to work. I did use another program to start. So right here I have Dungeondraft pulled up. It's a really nice program that I like to use. Helps me do what I want to do. It was a little easier to get all of the assets together for it, and it allows me to do stuff a little quicker than other ways that I've used, which other ways and programs that I've used are Dungeon Painter Studio. I have tried drawing some by hand. Dungeon Painter Studio is really nice, has a nice toolkit. I just takes a little bit longer and I can't tweak it to be exactly what I want. Dungeondraft I can. Drawing it by hand, I am not a good enough artist to be able to make that work properly, so I don't do that at all. I might do a little bit here and there to like spruce something up, but overall, not something I'm great at. But I am going to talk about Dungeondraft today. I'm going to go over a little bit of a map that I made. I'm going to go over my process of map making, battle maps in particular. World building will kind of talk about my map creation there. And then I will also talk a little bit about Flowscape. Flowscape is the program I use to generate the picture that I'm going to be importing into Dungeondraft and touching up. So in Flowscape, it's more of a 3D rendering program. It lets you have a flat 3D plane, and you can change scale of objects and make nice custom maps. It's really nice. It's just also very taxing if your computer's not so great. It is a 3D rendered thing, so it's a little bit different to set up. It takes a little bit longer for me in particular because I have not had a ton of practice with it. So sometimes I mess up the controls and have to start over. But Dungeondraft is really simple for me now. It also enables me to make more of modular maps, so I can have like multiple floors in whatever program I use. A lot of people use Roll20. I use Foundry, VTT. That's a topic for another episode or another video. But anyway, first I'm going to talk about the process of going through making a map. So for me, the process, the first thing I have to think about is the theme. Like, which part of the story are we at? What types of objects do I want to have in the map? What do I want it to be? So for battle maps, on top of that, you have to think about indoor, outdoor. Outdoor is a little bit different than indoor. Indoor, you have to worry about walls for objects, different furniture, how you want to block off lines of sight during combat. You have to consider a little bit more. Outdoor, you do have to worry about like elevation or trees or shrubs or rocks that are in the way, but you can move a little ways around that and make that work pretty easily. Outdoor maps are really fun for me. I really like outdoor stuff, so it's a little bit different. Indoor, you have to consider a little bit more about your party composition, what they can do in small places, and you want to make the fights balanced. You don't want it to be too heavily in their favor or your favor as the NPCs or monsters. You do want to, I mean, every once in a while you can give them an easy fight, lull them into a sense of complacency, but you want to keep it interesting, make it fun. It's more fun to have a dynamic fight. But yeah, so that's the first part of my process, is deciding like a theme. If I want it to be like fun and light, choose objects that have a nice color palette that are a little bit lighter. If you want it to be heavy, go a little bit darker theme. Pick grittier designed objects. You can scuff them up a little bit in like a third-party program. Just touch up with the mouse. You can add some scratches or scuff marks and stuff, but that takes a little bit more time. For today, I'm just going to be talking about this. Yeah, so I started in Flowscape, and this combat that they're going into is starting in like a open glade. There are a couple trees. It's part of the storyline, but I don't have the creatures that I'm gonna have set up, but I do have the general layout of the map. So I use the terrain brush. I can kind of set up like what I'm gonna do. I gotta figure out which. So it's this one, and it's sort of a circular glade. The center is going to be cracked quite a bit due to the storyline, but everything outside of like the center of the circle is going to be trees, pine trees. This particular map is going to be returned to in the future, hopefully, but the idea is there are 4 trees holding down a beast, and it's surrounded by pine trees. It's in a dense forest. So I did make a map in Flowscape, and I have to figure out where exactly it is, which hard drive I have it in, but I will be able to do that fairly quickly, I think. And Flowscape is really nice just because you can export some really high quality content, some high quality photos from it, and it's awesome. I really like using it. Let's see, I have found it, and I can import it in just a second. Yeah, Flowscape is really nice. I don't actually know if I can import pictures. Anyway, it's a very nice program. I can at least open it for you guys to see. and I really like using it. The maps turn out really nice with it. Makes nice 3D maps. I'm going to add the image for you here. Escape and there. This is the whoa. That came in as a huge image. But yeah, I'm gonna drop it to the not all the way to the back, but right here. So the way I designed the map, I did it on a 3D plane, so I was able to find it pretty easily, able to make it up pretty easily. I wanted a central glade. There's going to be a creature in the center. The roots are going to have trapped it, and eventually the players will either have to unleash the beast or kill it while it's still held down by these giant pine trees here. And as you can see, there's a huge thing of trees around it to try and seclude it. So it's going to have a darker vibe. In my tabletop, I can add like fog, make it nighttime, give some rain if I want to, and just enhance the darker atmosphere of it, because it is supposed to be a large climactic battle. So I will be able to use this on top of Dungeondraft in order to make what I would like to. I do have to figure out how to import pictures into Dungeondraft, but I'll be able to figure that out. Like I said, this is just more about the process. If I want to do a sample map, I can do that really quick for you guys. I am going to go with grass. Actually, don't really like the default terrain as much. It's a little cartoony. Grass. Give some sand. Do like a spot for a foundation for a house. I want it to be inside. And then do a trail. The walkway leading up to it. One thing Flowscape does is it does take a little bit of time to bring things to the surface. So like if you just press and hold, it will bring up some images for you. But so one of the easiest things to do is do a quick little building. So go to the building tool, select your floor. I'm going to go with a nice standard wooden floor. We will go with, let's go with wooden beam walls. And it's going to be just a square building. And then you go to a door. You can add a door wherever you would like. I'm just going to choose right here where the path leads. I am also going to, I'm not going to make this 2 stories. I'm going to leave it at 1. Portals, you can also do windows, and so do just a couple windows placed. I like to keep mine fairly symmetrical, just out of habit. I enjoy the aesthetic of things looking a certain way, and that is usually in order. So create your floor. Whoa, I just hit my mic there. Apologize for that. But get the floor there, have the door for people to go in, and then I am going to add a level. So this is the ground level, and I will call this roof. And I'm not going to clone a level. I did switch to it. I want to compare levels so I can see exactly where it is. So it drops the opacity and lets you see the floor underneath. So now that I'm on the roof, I will go back to the roof tools. I'm just going to go with a standard black roof. And I usually go 1 out. You can do really big eaves, do 2 or 3 out. But there. And then just drop down to the first floor and you think about what you want to put in. So do you put in, you don't want rocks or anything, but scroll down through the asset list on the right and pick something like bed to put in the corner. And maybe it's a dingy building, just a couple pieces of furniture. So chair, bed, nicer chair. You can find a fireplace, or if you want to lure the players in, put a treasure chest in the bed. Just little things like that. Think about what you want your players to experience and just fill in accordingly. Find assets. You can find a lot of assets online for free or to pay for. A lot of them are really nice. You can hand draw them. I've done that with a couple assets, but you just want to make the house or map designed for your players. So if I wanted to have an obstacle in here, I would find a desk or like one of these barrels, and you can throw like a stack of barrels in, and then you wall off barrels so it's a target that people have to move around. It's something you can use as a function. You want to think about the different objects on the maps and what function they're going to have, because if they're going to have a function, then that gives you a reason to add more furniture or add another asset or a design object. And so that's basically how I do it. I go through and figure it out that way. If I want to put bushes like around the front, you just line it up and place them around the front. You can choose to have stuff overlap or blend together if you want. There's a lot you can do with Dungeondraft. But anyway, that's what you do. You could just make the maps and tune it to your party, to your story. You do want to consider your story and the implications it could have for the long term. For example, I made a chateau for the Halloween episode, actually, and I made 2 stories and a whole bunch of rooms, and the combat encounter happened in a small room, and it made for a pretty interesting time for players. I am still editing that and the next video, and I will be online again, but I should hopefully have those up this week. It's taking me a little bit longer to edit. Family life keeps me pretty busy, but thank you for coming to this video, and I'm sorry I didn't do exactly what I wanted, but I did make a small sample map for you. I hope you got a little bit of insight into how I make battle maps and tailor the experiences around both what I think will be interesting and will make good combat. But anyway, I hope you all have a fantastic day or evening, and I will see you next time.